He's still coming in. All right, y'all. We'll go ahead and get started. So the topic of today's conversation is how to find the right one and a guide for a dating guide for modern times. And as you can see here on the screen here, we have some modern relationships that some are in trouble and one's thriving here. And the reason we can call them modern relationships is because, you know, there's not like a traditional type situation. We have you see, we got Deelishis and Kim, who are high-powered women on their own respects. They're, you know, and Ciara too, you know, high-powered women. We got, you know, these are just modern relationships. Some of them are having those type of blended family situations where they come into it. So this is kind of like what the norm is nowadays. And a lot of these modern relationships are falling apart, but some are thriving, like Ciara and Russel Wilson. I know people have their opinions on Ciara and Russel Wilson, some negative, some positive. But we're going to talk about it. I'm actually initially I had a negative opinion on the Russel Wilson Ciara thing, but you know, upon really thinking about it and really looking at it, I have a positive viewpoint. So we're going to talk about all of that today. See here. So let me go ahead and get it started. Mark, are you okay? You got that person.
I needed him to pull up to my crib. I needed him to pull up to my estate and what I had done for me and my kids on my own, handling my business, so that he knew I don't need you. I want you, but I don't need you. I got my own. Matter of fact, mine probably is topping yours.
Oh, I don't know about that now. Let's not too far.
And not only that, who moved in with who? Baby, come on, keep it 1,000. Who moved in with who?
I moved in with you.
He ended up moving in with mama.
Well, now his lovely wife, she's trying to out him on Instagram. She went on Instagram and posted this. She said, I married a narcissist who is a complete liar and a cheat, and I'm finally ready to speak my truth. Stay tuned. # gloves off. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. They haven't even been married for 2 years. They just got married in 2020. They had only known each other for about 6 months before they got married, which is another reason why I do not agree with the whole hurrying up and marrying people. Because 9 times out of 10, most of these marriages today, they don't even last 5 years. Here, we're looking at these two. They're about to be done in about 1.5 years.
We as men in that community have no say-so of where our kids go to school. I don't have custody. I had to fight to have my kids not on TikTok. We've never had Christmas any place else other than one location for the entire time. Just God, I know that people are gonna feel me and feel my heart just as a father. You know what I'm saying? Like just as a dad. And I just look at my daughter full makeup, singing She's in Love with an Emo Girl on TikTok, and I have no say nor approval. Hey, what do you think? Do you think this would be cool or not? You know what I mean? And I'm the one that made them cool. They wouldn't give me the address to Chicago's birthday party so that could scar in her memory that dad wasn't there when dad want to be there. Y'all turned the idea of me. I was just at the house 2 days ago with my kids doing homework with Kim right there.
Anyway, I was just basically saying that when things go left, people have no sympathy for you. You saw like a lot of those comments. People were saying, you know, you picked her, you chose her. Once things happen like that, all bets are off. So that was just Kanye venting. But just welcome to all the new group members. A little bit about what our group is about: learning something new, encouragement towards better health, wealth, and relationships. We're not a singles group; we're a friends group. So there's different expectations with the friends group than the singles group. We're about socializing with other positive people. We do online and in-person meetings. We're going to talk about a few of our in-person meetings coming up toward the end of the conversation. But there's plenty of ways for you to connect and plug in. These Zoom conversations are one, but we have a lot of in-person stuff, and a lot of people been stepping up to the plate to host some stuff. So it's been a beautiful thing. We've been having a lot of great stuff happen. Let's see here. This is a meetup group I created for Black people, but we don't discriminate on others based on race, religion, or sexual orientation. A lot of these conversations, we talk about heterosexual relationships, male and female, Black men and Black women, but everybody's welcome to the conversation. Everybody's welcome to share their opinion and learn. A little bit about the different levels of membership in our group. Once you enter the group, you're classified as force sensitive, but as you participate in the group, you move up the Jedi ranks, you become a Jedi Master, and it comes from the Jedi universe. I'm trying to go through it quickly, y'all. So why are we having these relationship conversations? To meet new people, see where they stand on relationship issues, to learn more about opposite sex, and to see more two-parent households or nuclear families. This was an interesting graph that I ran across the other day. And this here just breaks down the living arrangements of children by race. And as you can see right there, kind of left of middle, is in the Black community, there are more children who are raised in homes without fathers than there are who are raised with fathers. And the Black community is the only community in which that exists. So there's a real problem that's happening right now in terms of relationships. Prior to the 1960s, Black folks were the most married, and then something changed after the 1960s. I have some stuff listed there on the right that may be some of the contributing factors, but I'll let y'all decide. These are just some things that I think may have contributed to it. As you can see here, this was as of 2019, 50% of Black men, 52% of Black men never married. 48% of Black women never married. We are the lowest in terms of marriage. For the entire US is 34%. So there's a real relationship crisis in the Black community. All right. So we're going to get y'all right off into a poll because I love these polls. And we're asking the question, where do you stand in terms of modern dating? I want to know what best describes your current dating life. And if you're actively dating, what is the main way you're finding dates? So I'm going to launch this poll here. We'll give y'all a minute or so to answer. So the poll is now launched. All right, we got a good number of folks in here. A lot of y'all are answering. Poll is now launched. Some people just came here just in time for the poll. We're asking the question, where's your, what does best describe your current dating life? And if you're actively dating, what is the main way you're finding your dates? See, about half the people responded. We'll give y'all a few more seconds because I know some people may be new to the polls. Man, people are pouring in. I think Mark was letting everybody in. Some of y'all who just entered, we're doing a poll right now. I'll give y'all a few more seconds to answer this poll. We're asking a question. What best describes your current dating life? And if you're actively dating, what is the main way that you're finding dates? Now, I'm trying to catch the temperature of the room. Wow, okay, I don't say I'm liking these results, but it's kind of somewhat what I expected. I'm going to end the poll. See, we got about 80% of people responded. So, all right, that's the poll feature. Let me end it and let me show y'all the results. All right, so as you can see, 40% of people are actively dating, but they feel like they can't find quality men or women to date. Let's see, in second place was I'm taking a break from dating. Almost a quarter of people are taking a break. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm taking a break. I didn't respond to the poll, but I'm in that category too. Let's see here. If you're actively dating, what is the main way you're finding dates? The majority of people are doing it online, either social media or dating websites. Let's see, second place is social functions. Okay. And then everyday life, about 15%. And a few people are meeting folks at church. Okay, so good. So that's the poll there. I wish I can save these polls results so I can view them later. But all right. All right, so the thing we're talking about today is a guide to modern dating. And I'm going to venture to say that a lot of what we've been doing has been a guide to modern dating. Let me just give everybody who's new, this is a good time for people who are new to these dope conversations to kind of get refreshed on everything we've been talking about. But let's see, in March of last year, my relationship ended and I was trying to I noticed I didn't really have a social life, and I started dating, doing the online dating thing, and I was having a lot of frustrations with it. So I decided just to meet people a more natural way. So around September sometime, I started a meetup group. And just a quick note on my relationship, it ended. I ended the relationship. People have been telling me that I don't really share things, so I'm trying to share a little bit, give people context of how a lot of this stuff came about. But I ended the relationship. It was a 5+ year relationship. To make a long story short, I just feel like we weren't compatible. She wanted children. At that point, I didn't really want to, have children with her at that moment. I was waiting for her to change, and I didn't feel like effort was being shown. So I ended the relationship, and that's kind of what started. But anyway, started a meetup group in September. Emphasis on having deep conversations. So I felt like a lot of meetup groups that are out there weren't really having deep conversations. So I said, let me start a meetup group with the emphasis on positive people and having some good dialogue. Little thing, if you're new, I'm not a relationship coach. I don't try to hold myself out to be a relationship coach. Sometimes people come in here and they have like little life coaches or they're relationship coaches, but I'm not that. I don't hold myself out to be that. I'm a professional firefighter by trade. Been doing that for about 12 years. And we're just having conversations. I'm trying to figure this dating thing out like everybody else. In a lot of ways, it's like a mastermind group, because we come together and we talk and we come to conclusions about things through consensus to see what are what's working, what's not working. So it's like it's all of our heads coming together. It's not just me or one person coming up with these solutions. We follow the data. We do a lot of data and we dive deep, and we just go by best practices that are out there in the dating world, and we share our personal experiences. So that's kind of been the ethos of what we do with these dope conversations. If you're new, it's kind of like it's a combination of these things, but I'm not an expert. Most people who share don't claim to be experts. We're just normal people trying to figure out this dating thing. So what defines modern dating? Let's see, one of the conversations we had, we talked about the different eras of dating. At one point it was arranged marriages, then it went to courting, and then we moved to a dating culture, which is modern times where we're at now. These are some things that highlight or characterize modern dating. Let's see, there's expansion of online dating and social media. As you saw, a majority of people are finding dates through social media and online dating. There's an acceptance of non-traditional gender roles, and we're seeing an emergence of feminism. And feminism, I don't believe in and of itself is a bad thing. It deals a lot with women's rights and different things like that. But we're seeing that women are no longer relegated to just being in the home. Women are now entering the workforce. There's different things that have happened as a result of feminism. And we're also seeing a promotion of non-nuclear family structures. One of the preeminent feminists, Black feminists of our day, Brittany Cooper, shared this on social media not too long ago. She said, we don't need traditional nuclear families for Black thrive. And that's basically saying that in order for Black thrive, and the man is not needed in the household. So, that's one of the toxic elements of feminism. And I don't mean to lambaste feminism in its entirety, but there are some toxic elements, and it's kind of like playing out in the dating market. Another key feature of the modern dating culture is we're seeing sexual liberation and promiscuity. And I don't say promiscuity from a place of judgment. It just basically means transient sexual relationships or short-term sexual encounters. That's kind of like a lot of what's happening out here in the modern dating world. And we're going to talk a little bit about conversations that occurred as a result of that. Our first conversation that we ever had through Zoom, we talked about online dating. We found that 40% of new couples in 2018 are meeting online. And then we look at the data, we're introduced to a new concept called hypergamy. And it's just basically saying that women tend to marry up or look for being in relationships where they can elevate their social status. And that plays out in terms of data, as you can see here, in terms of the term that the sociologist uses, pickiness, is not my term, but women swipe right on 5% of the matches that they come across with online, and men swipe right on about 50%. But then the data also shows that both people, men and women, are trying to find people who are higher than where they're at in terms of their lane. We're going to talk about lanes in a second, but both men and women are both doing it. So, and that's what we found that was one of the main issues with online dating. Some of the common complaints that people have with online dating is listed here: time consuming, start chatting with somebody and all of a sudden they ghost you, or there's radio silence, matching with the wrong type of people. People said that they're finding dates, but they just can't find the right sort of people. No one lives up to their profile. First dates feel like a series of interviews, too superficial and no decent matches. Those were some of the common complaints. Just a summary of what happened in that conversation. Most people were against online dating, but some were for it. Let's see here. Those who believe that online dating is those who were for it believe it's the new normal, and they believe you just have to keep swiping right.
So what's your
solution? The right person.
You gonna keep at it?
To be honest, I really don't have a solution. I couldn't tell you.
I appreciate the honesty.
But I'll do is keep swiping, man.
All right, so that's Biff. That's Marco. He was saying that with online dating, he's just gonna keep swiping right, and he seemed like he was for it. He was at the time he was a practitioner of online dating, and so he was up there. And
that was a joke.
You really believe that to keep on swiping though? But it was a good joke. Those who are against it believe that we should raise our value and make ourselves available to meeting people in more traditional ways. I was one of the ones who was against it, and that's what I believe. So conclusion overall of that conversation, the success rate of online dating is becoming too big to ignore. The data suggests from looking at online dating that people who are in the top 20% have the most success with online dating. But hypergamy is still causing issues with online dating for women because a lot of women are competing for the same men. So the solution set was to strive to be in the top 10%. Top 20%. Just be in the top percent of matches that people are looking for if you want to continue with the online dating thing. So that was that. And then we also talk about who, we talked about men in another conversation, like who are the top men. And we used a calculator. I forget the name of the calculator. Bacchus, do you remember there was like a calculator show, like what are your chances of ending up with a certain type of person?
Yeah, that was called the female delusional calculator. You can Google it. It's actually a real thing that they use. Real statistics. I can't say that word, from like actual census bureaus and stuff. They actually pull real data.
Right.
But yeah,
so we had this calculator and people were plugging in what's the likelihood of finding this type of guy who makes this income, who's this height. And when we did we just did one metric here. We did 6 figures and we did 6 feet or taller, and less than 1% of men meet that criteria, Black men. So that's kind of what it was with that. Okay, so that was the first conversation. Then we talked about what are you looking for in a partner, and we're going somewhere with all this, y'all. I want y'all to think about all these conversations we're having, and remember the conversation is a guide to modern dating. And then we did a Kevin Samuels conversation, like is he tearing us apart? I'm not going to talk too much about the Kevin Samuels thing. The only thing notable about that is that a lot of people started joining Zoom conversations at that point. That's when Bacchus started joining our Zoom conversations. I think Brandy joined around the same time. So a lot of people were, Kevin Samuels was a hot topic at the time, and that really blew up. But we talked about what are you looking for in a partner, and we looked at data, and we looked at like what men and women look for when they're out here on the dating market. And we found that in the short term, overwhelmingly, men choose women based off of looks. With women, the major category that they choose men off of was looks in the short term, but other factors were more of a consideration, things like game. In the long term for men, in terms of what we look for in women, looks were still a predominant factor, but age and faithfulness began to kind of creep up there. So it wasn't emphasized on looks as much anymore. But the major takeaway is that looks matter. One lady reached out to me. She said, I just want to have a conversation about how to have a positive relationship. And can we not talk about looks? And that's what she messaged me. And I don't know how to have these conversations without talking about looks. You don't have a relationship if just is how it is. I mean, as you can see, 80% when looking for a short-term mate, men 80% value and kind of weigh looks into the equation. So you don't have a relationship if we're not talking about looks. So we can talk about having a positive relationship, but we got to talk about looks too. And it could be a positive thing. It doesn't have to be a negative thing just because we're talking about looks, Then we made a list, what we're looking for a partner. And I was brave enough and I made my list, and I realized that I even sit down here, I'm picky. And so I had some things that I was flexible on, some things that I wasn't flexible on. Some things, and this was my list here, I had 10 points, and then I had the non-flexible things that I didn't want. I had loyal, God-fearing, someone who's a helpmate, someone who's shapely, helpfully attractive, someone who exhibits self-love, respects and admires me, a partner, she adds value and matches my effort, shows reciprocity, someone who's family-oriented, someone who's domestic, who knows how to take care of a home, and she's not slothful, and she's physically and mentally active. Some things I was flexible on, like children, someone who manages their debt well, someone who wears natural hairstyles, someone a certain height, and someone who thinks black, more or less thinks black. So those were things I was flexible on, but the top 10 were things that I wasn't flexible on. Everybody shared their list and what they wanted in a partner. All right. I share this here. Simone sent me this, and she said, this was a text message between me and Simone. She said, you're obviously desperate and want to be in a relationship, and that you're 34 years old and you're still single. And she was joking me, poking fun at me. But when you look, and I told her that the issue isn't and it's not just for me, it's for a lot of people. When you're trying to find something serious and something long-term, and you're picky and you acknowledge you're picky, it becomes hard to find that person. So I'm not desperate as Simone kind of suggests by having a lot of these relationship conversations. They're the reason why we're having these relationship conversations, and we're going to get to it in a minute. But I had to put that out there because I have a few people come to me and think that, like that I was desperate and all this stuff. Who said that?
I was joking.
I know you were, and I just, but people do believe that, Simone. So I know you were joking me, but I just want to share that and poke fun at you. But just something noteworthy on my list, number 6 was respect. Just last 2 weeks ago, we had we read a book and we talked about love and respect. And as you can see, the concept of the book was that men value and need respect, and women value mostly value respect. Women mostly value love in terms of the things we need. And as you can see on my list, love wasn't mentioned, but respect was. So it just goes to show that months before we did this, what are you looking for in a partner thing? And I had respect on my list. And then months after, Will and his genius suggested this book, and respect was one of the highlights. So it's like it's been kind of crazy, some of the stuff that's been going on. So another noteworthy thing is the issue about reciprocity. A lot of ladies, through these things have been asking, like, what's like the number one complaint that men have with dating nowadays? Let's see how I'm looking on time. Okay, I gotta keep speeding through it. And reciprocity, lack of showing, she was asking him, is there anything she could have done to save it? And he was saying the same things that a lot of men are saying these days, that they don't feel like women are matching their effort. They're not putting in the same amount of, of dedication. And I know this isn't true of everybody, but this is a complaint that a lot of men are having. And then we had a conversation about when to expect sex. And the thing was, a lot of men expected sex earlier rather than later. And the thing wasn't just because we're horny and all this stuff. It's because we don't feel like our efforts being matched. And sex is one thing we can turn to and say, okay, well, you're not putting in the same effort as me. Well, I can at least try to have sex. So that was one of the things. And then we said that most men expect sex. The consensus was around 3 to 7 dates. But I forgot to mention in that I think a lot of women expect sex around 3 to 7 dates too, if we're honest. I mean, it just, I think one lady even said that if she's digging a guy, it can happen on that same night. So we put a lot of stuff on men, but it's kind of multiple angles to it. And I had made some suggestions for women, ways that you can show reciprocities by practicing love languages, supporting your man, stroking his ego, and be his feminine companion and inspire him. And you can do things like plan dates. Brandy just walked in. All right, y'all didn't hear that. All right, so okay, let's see here. Let's see. So then in January, we talked about a shortage of men and interracial relationships. And that was a great conversation. I was really surprised by a lot of things we found out in that conversation. We also talked about how are you preparing to become a husband or wife. We're not going to summarize that. I'll talk about that a little later. But in the shortage of men conversation, we looked at it from multiple angles, like to determine, like, is there a shortage of men? We looked at in terms of household makeup. We looked at like the percentage of Black men who were in jail. Then we looked at the percentage of Black men in the metro Atlanta market and across the United States who were homosexual. And we found that when we looked at those metrics, the ratio of men to women was about 9 to 11. So for every 9 single available men, there was 11 single available women. But then in the interracial relationship conversation, we introduced a new dynamic into the equation. And we looked at interracial relationships, and we found that Black men were interracially dating out far more than Black women were. And those are the stats down there. And as you can see, for college educated Black men, 30% were dating out versus 13% of Black women. And so the new ratio was about 7.5. For every 7.5 single Black men, there's 11 single Black women. So at first I answered it when we had the conversation, I said there's really not a shortage, but when you factor in interracial relationships, there is a significant shortage of Black men to Black women. And that was our conclusion from that conversation. Some of the conclusions and the solutions that we came up with, that Black women should maybe consider dating out, because that's going to expand your pool and you're going to have more options. Another thing that Black women could consider doing is reducing that term we talked about, hypergamy, where Black women tend to try to marry up or date up. They can reduce the hypergamous drive, or they can just become more desirable. And by more desirable, mean becoming in the top 10 or 20% of women, if they're going to be striving for the top 10 or 20% of men. So those are some solutions that we came up with in those conversations. Let's see here. Then I'm rounding the corner here, y'all. We almost gonna get to I don't got too much more left. Then in February, we talked about platonic relationships, and we talked about dating lanes, and we talked about when to expect sex. We already talked about the when to expect sex conversation, but we broke down a man's lane and a woman's lane. And we found that for women, the predominant way that we factor in a woman's lane is her looks, character, and the quality of life. And for men, the predominant way that women factor in a man's lane is looks, money, status, and character, personality, games. So it's an amalgamation of those combinations. And we found that when a lot of issues were caused because people were trying to date people who were above the lane. I mentioned that earlier, but that's what we found, is that people were trying to date people who were outside the lane. All right, so I got another poll. And this one's a random poll, and it has 6 questions. But then somebody reached out to me, a a matchmaker, and she's offering something to our group. So I'm going to play this, and I'm going to run the poll. So I want y'all answer the poll questions and listen to this thing. It's basically just a deal for a matchmaking service. It's a free offer for candidates, and I'll let her explain. It's only 2 minutes, but y'all could answer the poll and just listen to this video, because I told her I I would share her video. She sent me a 5-minute video, but I clipped it down to about a minute and a half. But let me launch this poll and let me try to play the video at the same time.
Hello, thank you for staying on to the end. A dating guide for modern times and how to pick the right one. What an interesting subject. One that I wasn't part of, but nonetheless is very aligned with what I do for a living. Just so you know, everybody that stays will receive a little gift from my end. I'm looking
Answer a poll, y'all.
and hoping to recruit some of you if you are single professionals looking to date with intent. To join Talkify as most dating service, there's usually a fee for the matchmaking, but I will be waiving that fee if you're able to join via my link. Is quite simple. You complete a profile, you decide if you want to be a candidate or a client. I can waive the candidate fee, but I cannot waive the client fee. And third, if a matchmaker spots your profile, they'll be calling you up and setting up an appointment for a screening call via Zoom. And then they will curate the date, meaning all the details or all the date details will be taken care of by the matchmaker. All you have to do, so I want you to be able to sign up here. You can scan this QR code. If you scan this QR code, it will bring you directly to the application to fill out, and the application already has the fee waive. Thank you very much and have a lovely evening.
All right, y'all. Sorry that brief little intermission. I'm gonna end the poll. This is just a quick random poll. I was just curious about different stuff here. But basically that Talkify thing, it's a legit thing. I know she had an accent. She's from out of the country, but it's a legit service. It's a legit offer that she's offering. You basically become like a part of the candidates that professional matchmakers set clients up with. And I'm considering, even though I take a break from dating, I'm more so curious about the sort of people who use a professional matchmaker. So I might do it just to kind of see, because I have my theories about the sort of people who do it, and I just want to test it to see if it's true. So, but it's a great offer. If y'all if that went by too quick, y'all can reach out to me and I'll give y'all her information. Just hit my DM and I'll send y'all her information if that's something you're interested in doing as well. But let me show y'all the poll here. So let's see here. Should a person give relationship advice, be married his or herself, or at least have a history of a long-term thriving relationship? 3/4 of people agree yes, and I agree too. In general, are people waiting too long to get married? People said no, people are not doing that. Let's see here. From the moment two people become exclusive, how long before they get married? The 1 to 2 years. Okay, that's what majority of people believe. And let's see here. Would you be willing to try unconventional? Okay, so some people said they would do. Okay, so that might have been a good offer that she put out there for everybody, because 3/4 of people would consider doing something like that. So there you go. And let's see here. Would you like us to initiate breakout rooms? Okay, more people want. So we'll do that after people responded to this presentation and gave their opinions. We'll do a breakout room. I was kind of leery of the breakout rooms, but a lot of people want to have a breakout room session, so we're going to do that. Let's see here. We'll end that and we'll keep it pushing. We're rounding the corner, y'all. Admit Ron into the room. We talked about, this is the last summary of the conversation we had. We talked about, can men and women be friends? And we define a friend zone. And the friend zone is when one person wants something more than the other person. Then we talked about the majority of people agreed that maintaining a platonic or close relationship with someone of the opposite sex is difficult, but not impossible. That seemed to be the consensus. And we broke down the different levels of friendship and friends. And for the most part, we're talking about close friendships. Let's see here. Some suggested for those looking to date intentionally, they should date either date the people in your friend zone or cut them off because they may be a hindrance to future relationships. So that was like the more or less consensus. And the reason why, and Kai really introduced that topic, is because of this thing called intentional dating. And we're going to get into that in a second. So we talk about a dating guide for modern times. And this is where I begin to theorize and look at things that are happening. And, I think there's really two main approaches that people can take when we talk about modern relationships. There's approach one is casual dating or casual relationship. And it's basically, and here it says here, a physical or emotional relationship between two people who may have casual sex or a near sexual relationship without necessarily demanding or expecting additional commitments of a more formal romantic relationship. Motives can typically vary. And this is the primary thing that's happening right now in modern dating culture, is everybody's casual dating. And I think that's been a huge point of contention for a lot of us. It's been causing a lot of our problems. And it's kind of the reason why I had to take a break from dating, because I realized I was casual dating. I don't think that casual dating, for people who are looking for something more serious, which a lot of people in this group are, I don't think casual dating is it. And I think a lot of people, and I just observe and I go out and I just listen to people, everybody's casual dating. And let me share this quick little video.
All right, so my last solution is something that I think will benefit both men and women. And that is to do a better job with vetting before going out on dates. This would especially help the men who are concerned about being used for a free meal. I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all, okay? There have definitely been times in my past where I only accepted a date because I was bored or I wanted to get dressed up and have a free meal. I told you I keep it real, raw, and transparent. But when you skip convo, immediately ask for a date, and then don't have conversation before the date, you aren't vetting me because you haven't talked to me. Therefore, you won't be able to tell if I'm using you for a free meal or not. Now, fast forward to today, I definitely wouldn't accept a date from someone who I don't see potential in or that I don't have a mental connection with. It's honestly a waste of time, and no one really benefits from that in the end. In my experience, whenever I went on random dates, I walked away from the date knowing that I would never talk to that person again. But men, I say all of that so that you can learn from it. And ladies, you can vet too, so that you can figure out if he's just after your tater or not. Okay? Honestly though, these discussions have taught me that dating is way too transactional nowadays, and that's very concerning. So much focus is put on who is doing what and what you can get from the other person, that it takes away from the sincerity of truly getting to know someone. And that sucks. That's so ghetto.
Let me unmute. Okay, so that was Tanisha. She has a YouTube channel and an Instagram. You can see her Instagram post there. Please go ahead and give her a follow. Actually, I reached out to Tanisha when I talked to her earlier about the in-person dope conversation we're going to try to do in the panel. I reached out to Tanisha about being a panel member, and she seemed excited about it, enthused about it. So we're trying to work out the details and figure it out. But anyway, the things that she was talking about there was like issues of casual dating. If y'all really listen to what she was saying, she talked about how a lot of times everybody just like trying to date people and they're not vetting people, and that the dating feels so transactional. And it seems like she's trying to figure out a lot of these relationship stuff. And she's come, I feel like slowly but surely, I think we're about 1 or 2 steps ahead of her, but it seems like she's coming to the solution that something has to change, and she's trying to figure out different ways and different methods for it. But she's still doing the casual dating thing, it seems like. But I think a better solution is something that we've kind of introduced, or something that we've really been talking about, is intentional dating. And I didn't realize it when we first started these conversations that that's kind of what we've been pushing and promoting and kind of moving toward, but it really is. And when I look at it and I looked at this definition, I was like, man, this is really what I've been doing, really what's happening. Intentional dating simply means this: slowing down. It means taking a break from the casual swipe right or left culture and being more mindful about the process. It means thinking about what you truly want in a partner. Think about that. So what you truly want in a partner. Remember, we had that conversation on what are you looking for in a partner? And so, it's like, this is what we've been doing. We haven't even been realizing it. Or at least this is what a lot of us been trying to move toward, and reflecting on patterns and habits that may be keeping you from finding that person. So that's intentional dating. That's kind of like, we talk about modern relationships, why some are thriving and why some aren't. I think intentional dating is the reason why some are thriving. And I think Russel Wilson and Ciara were intentional daters. And I have a video I'm going to show to kind of illustrate that point. But let me just show you a little clip from our dope conversations to show how we've been moving in that direction. Shout out to Kai and shout out to Janelle.
Okay, so if we're all talking about just dating with intention, we got to understand that this is going to be a lonely road that you're going to go.
On the flip side, if we're approaching it from a co-creation standpoint, me stepping back from my career for a moment to take care of our kids, because we have an idea of when they have kids, what we want their kids to be able to say about them. Like it's a very different mindset. So I think the first issue is, why are we coming together? And largely that's not a part of our conversation. It's not.
Now, if you want to have a child, you want to have a marriage, you want to have a nuclear family, which is the mission statement of what we all want, you can't have that interference there. And you got to cut those people off and just start focusing in on this individual and making it a healthy relationship.
This whole conversation of building healthy, happy families intentionally is my love. So this conversation means a whole lot to me.
So there you go. Before we even really start talking about intentional dating, we were already kind of hinting around and kind of getting to that point of what a lot of us wanted to do. But let's see here. So a case for intentional, this is the last slide here, y'all. A case for intentional dating in modern times. Example, exhibit A, and the only exhibit, Russell Wilson and Ciara. As many of you know, Ciara had a prayer. Y'all know Ciara's backstory. She got with Future, had a baby with Future. It was a pretty much a negative relationship from I guess probably from both their perspectives. The relationship just didn't work. And so Ciara started to do something. And this was an interview she had with Angie Martinez. And she said this. She said, I thought I was going to be single for 4 years. I had that in my mind. I don't know why number 4, but at the time it made sense to me. And I wanted to be patient and let love really fall in place the right way. I desired something new. I desired something different. I desired to be loved to the highest capacity and loved in the way that I deserve. And then she said that what a lot of people talk about, what was that prayer that Ciara prayed? And there's different versions of it. I think she's been kind of remixing it, in different ways because people have been kind of curious about it. But she said, I prayed for a God-fearing man. I prayed for discernment. I prayed for wisdom. And I prayed to learn from the wisdom and gain experience through it. I prayed for a man that loved kids because I had a son. Let's see here. If you're going to love me, you got to love my son too, is what she said. I prayed for a man that was worldly as well because I love to explore. Someone that's going to edify my world. And that was important to me. So as you can see, Ciara, after the relationship with Future, it seemed like that may have been like a casual dating situation. Whereas when after things fell apart with Future, she decided to be more intentional. And so she began to really think about what she wanted. And she came across Russell. And a lot of people talk about Ciara's prayer and Ciara's part, but Russell also had a thing that he was doing as well. Bacchus got the blue cap on. I hope you got your notes, Bacchus. But Russell also had a thing he was doing where he was trying to be intentional as well. And people often don't talk about what was Russell's prayer, what was Russell doing, but Russell was being intentional too. They both were being intentional. Let me just share this little clip right here.
And I think ultimately, though, for me, I never forget, like, being in this space of, like, what do I really want? Like, what am I looking for? And I think, really, I wanted a relationship, a long-lasting relationship. I wanted love. I wanted kids. I wanted family. I didn't want perfection. I wanted the perfect thing for me. And so, anyway, so I ended up writing down my 5 non-negotiables, because really, really, marriage is a partnership. It's a business deal in a way, but it's really a partnership. It's like, hey, we're going to do this forever. Like, how are we going to partner and do this, right? And so, for me, I thought of it that way. I was like, okay, well, when you go into a partnership deal or business type deal, you want to think about what are your non-negotiables? What are the things that this is what I want, and this is what I have to have, and this is what I'm looking for. So I wrote down my 5 non-negotiables. I had to have a clear vision of what that was. And so for my 5 non-negotiables, one woman of faithful. Second thing was one woman who's faithful. Third thing is one who was independent. Fourth thing was I wanted a woman who, who loved me the way that my mom loved my dad. And the fifth thing was, ultimately, is I wanted a woman who would tilt the room. I wasn't going to settle for 3 out of 5 or 4 out of 5. We were going to go 5 for 5, and that was it.
And you got it.
And we got 5 for 5 plus some more.
You got it.
All right, so that was Russell Wilson. That's y'all saw what Russell had said there. Y'all saw Russell had a list, and he had things that were non-negotiable. And what did we do a few months ago? We made a list of things that were non-negotiable. He got intentional. He began to think about what it was that he really wanted. Russell had just been in a negative relationship with a woman that he viewed as beautiful, but she cheated on him. So she was the wrong person for him. Ciara, I don't know if Future cheated, but it seemed like he would cheat on her. So she had got out of a negative relationship, and both of them decided that they're going to be intentional. And I know, Russell gets a lot of heat, a lot of negativity pushed on him for people saying, "Oh, you got with a single mom, you didn't have no kids of your own. You're NFL all-star. Why'd you do that?" But he found a woman that was for him, and he don't care what people have to say about it. He found a woman that was perfect for him. He didn't say he was looking for a perfect woman, but someone who's perfect for him. And I think that was a beautiful thing. I think their story, when you really look at it, it's a really beautiful thing. And people, and it's not only like Russell was the awesome catch, because a lot of ladies still don't consider Russell that much of a catch. They think he's like a lame or whatnot. He's unattractive. So, but anyway, they found something that worked for them. They were intentional. So I got one last poll here. and we're gonna open. I want y'all to think about what y'all want to talk about. But the final poll is intentional versus casual dating, and then we're gonna talk about a poll about Russel Wilson, Ciara. But we're gonna do a gender-based poll with this last one. And let's see here. The question that I want to ask, I'm going to ask women first. No, let's do men first. We're going to do men first. Okay. So this is a men's only poll. Only men respond to this. First question we're asking is, what are you most interested in pursuing? Casual dating or intentional dating? And then the second question is, we don't have as many men here, so I'm not expecting a lot of responses. But let's see, if she meets all your non-negotiables, would you be willing to date a woman with a past history of dating F-boys, i.e. future, but who is committed to personal growth and change? All right. So that, and I know Bacchus, you said you're in training camp to be future, but so that's the question we're asking. This is a guys only poll. Go ahead and respond, fellas. So what are you guys most interested in pursuing? Casual dating or intentional? And the second question, would you date a woman with a past history of dating men who was completely unlike you? So we're asking that question here. But she was committed to change it. She was becoming intentional. And she met your other non-negotiables. She just had a past that, where you at on that, guys? Oh, we got more. I think maybe some, I think some ladies are tilting this poll. We don't got this many guys in here. Let's see. I don't know. I think ladies are tilting this poll. Let me end the poll because y'all might be messing up my poll here. Let me look. Marco, look at the real fast. What do you think? What would you guesstimate? How many men we got? We don't got 20 men in here. Well, maybe we do. Guys been kind of pouring in. All right, so let me share these results. I think some ladies may have been messing with our results here. But as you can see, 80% of guys, okay, good. Awesome, guys. About 80% of us are trying to move toward intentional dating. And then about 70% of us would date a woman with the past of dating a F-boy, but she's trying to change. But about 30% of guys wouldn't do it. All right, so that was a poll for men, and y'all can see that there. So y'all a little more flexible than I thought y'all were. Now let me do a poll for the ladies, and I'm going to ask this question. We're going to ask the same question about what are y'all interested in doing, casual or intentional. I'm surprised though. So we got 20% of guys who are just trying to do the casual dating thing. I didn't even think about that. So 20% of y'all are okay with this casual dating thing. But anyway, so we're asking the ladies the same question about casual versus intentional. And the second question we're going to ask the ladies is, if your version of a Russel Wilson came into your life, would you make yourself available to him and show reciprocity to him? So it's not necessarily Russel Wilson, who's an NFL or whatnot, but let's just say it's a guy that typically doesn't fit the mold for the guys you would typically date. Would you make room for him? Would you make yourself available to him? Would you give him the same effort that you gave the guy that you typically would? And would you show reciprocity? If he's putting in effort, are you going to put in effort, or are you going to say, well, no, he's not, he's ugly, or he doesn't make us X amount of money. You don't feel like he has to work harder, So that's the question we're asking here. So this is a ladies only poll. Guys, don't mess up our results here. We're trying to get some accurate polls. Just kind of test the temperature of folks. Box, you might got to get your cap ready. You might got to get the blue. I might have to go grab my blue cap. I'm looking at these results come in. Give y'all a few more seconds to answer. I noticed with the women are a lot more decisive, or a lot more, you can kind of predict, like it's almost unanimous with women when they do the voting things, whereas men, it's a little bit more murky. I wonder what that means. Because like guys, our results sometimes tend to be split, but a lot of ladies, y'all just kind of like overwhelming the way y'all kind of are kind of go. But all right, let me end this and show y'all the results here. All right, so the majority, yeah. Thank you for putting on the cap. I don't believe it's 96% or will make room for Russell. I don't believe that, ladies. Maybe y'all can talk about that in y'all's thing. I'm gonna personally say I'm normally pretty even killed, but I don't believe that the majority of y'all would make yourself available and show reciprocity to a Russel Wilson. If I feel like a lot of women aren't showing reciprocity to the guy who was their typical type. So the fact to say that y'all don't show reciprocity to Russel Wilson is, I don't know. I can't. My cap is a little ways away, but I put my cap on for that one. I don't know if it's 96%. This is my personal thing. I don't know if it's that to that percentage. So that was the last thing. All right, let me end this. Let me stop the share. Okay, so the way it works, y'all, we're gonna give everybody a chance to respond. Something y'all may want to weigh in on with this conversation. Think about the polls. I mean, the most recent one in our head was the Russell Wilson thing. Y'all can respond to that. Like, would y'all make yourselves available to Russell Wilson? We talked a lot. We talked about the downfall. A lot of why are a lot of these modern relationships not succeeding? What's the issue there? What's the problem? What's the point of contention? Then we talked about modern dating and the guide to modern dating. We talked about different things. We talked about online dating. We talked about a lot. So just think about something y'all might want to say. I might have to put a question out there because y'all seem a little shy. But the way it works is we go by whoever puts their hand up first, and we try to go male, female, male, female. There's like a little reaction button at the bottom of the screen, and you just raise your hand and you'll be in the queue to talk or speak about it. Man, y'all are shy. Look at all these beautiful faces. Everybody put their camera on, so y'all were in it. Y'all were engaged in the conversation.
Can I say something, Carter?
Hey, yeah, Kyle, but let me ask you a question. Do you know how to hit the reaction and raise your hand? Because I know I think you want to speak, but I don't think you know. Do you know how to do that reaction thing? Just for future references, in case you ever want to chime in. There's like a little, at the bottom of Zoom, there's like a little menu, and you hit the reaction, and then you raise your hand. I'm gonna let you get in there because I know you probably you can't figure it out. But yeah, let me figure out how to spot. Let me do it on the speaker. I'll let you go. Go ahead, y'all. Come on, y'all. Don't be shy. I'm gonna have to start calling on people. That's what I'm gonna have to do. But all right, Kyle, you got it.
The one thing I want to say is I think when a lot of women deal with a lot of F-boys, a lot of trash, I guess, from online. So when you do meet your Russell Wilson, I think that a lot of women their guard is up. So when you're going through that and you're dating this person and you are open and they're closed, it eventually starts making you just feel guarded as well. And then you just move on to the next one. There's got to be a situation where I personally feel that women have to really kind of recognize in a short period of time, maybe with the vetting and everything else like that, to be open and let their guard down so that the relationship continue. But when you always have your guard up, it gets to a point where you just have to move on.
Mm-hmm. All right. That was Kai. Kai was the first one to break the ice, so y'all don't be shy. And we got some of my favorite mother and daughter pair. It's only mother and daughter pair we have, so they have to be my favorite. We got the Nailers back. They always bring the heat. Hold on, let me. Y'all hear that?
We get the applause. That's what's up.
All right, y'all got it.
Okay, so I agree with Kai. I think that it's a two-part thing. So I believe that the women feel the way or responded in the poll the way that they did, because when you go through a lot, of things in a relationship, and usually the women are givers, and usually when you go through a lot, by a certain age, you're like wounded at that point, if you had a myriad of bad relationships. So I think that I agree with Kai in the fact that you have to let your guard down. You have to take some time and, give yourself some space to heal, and get yourself together from, all the issues or things that you may have picked up along the way that weren't originally a part of who you were, or different habits that you developed. But after that, I think that you are ready for a real relationship. So by that time, you would give someone in your healed space, someone like Russell Wilson or whoever your Russell Wilson is, a chance, because you're tired of being in relationships that have gone nowhere, being empty, and just developing issues along the way, not doing the work. So I do believe that, it is important for you to do that.
Mm-hmm. Like the healing and stuff.
You have to do that. Like, especially like, just say for instance, if you casually date, even if you're casually dating, you're still exchanging energy, experiences. Maybe you go out on a date and it didn't, turn out good, or you had a couple of, like you said, transient sexual experiences. Regardless of how short they are, regardless of whether you talk to that person again after that, you still take a part of that experience with you along the way. You know what I mean? Especially in the relationships that you maybe stay too long and they may be toxic, or, there may be something other than what you should be dealing with. You take that along with you. And so like Kai said, when you finally do find a person hopefully you're healed enough, because ain't nobody about to be pulling teeth. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, there's a certain apprehension that you have initially, but once, you know, you guys kind of understand that I'm here intentionally to date, then you should be able to be healed enough to drop some of those boundaries, understanding that you trust yourself and you're not going to let certain things happen to you because you have those non-negotiables. You know what I mean? But I think that's why the women poll turned out like it did, because after a certain while, we like, okay, what we doing? We got innies, y'all got outies. We can't get numbers like y'all can get. We gotta keep our numbers down.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, I think men should aim to keep we should aim to keep our numbers down too, if we can, you know, because I think all of this
y'all should.
promiscuity is good for anybody. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. One thing I want to say too is the numbers is reflective of where we are in our lives too. Just like you said, the guys are kind of, I'll use the word fickle. The guys are kind of fickle. And even at this age, they still are kind of like, you know, not really serious, because I noticed in some of your other sessions, a lot of the guys was like, well, make yourself available. You know, we want you to be available. But then the thing is, they're not giving of themselves and being honest and truthful when it's time to be honest and truthful, where the women in their polls, and women are consistent, they're like, we want a relationship. We want a relationship. But the guys are like, well, she ain't cute enough. Maybe it's this, you know, so that has a lot to do with, especially people of color. It's really unfortunate that this is happening in our culture, even at this age and stage of you guys' lives. I think it's very unfortunate, but it is what it is. We need to stop playing the games, and we need to really take responsibility and accountability to get out there and do what we need to do. Because just like with Russell and Ciara, they were intentional, because like my daughter was saying, they have healed. They had bad relationship. They said, hey, I'm tired of these games. I'm getting older. You know, I want someone better. It's time to stop playing games, everybody. It's really time to really pull your panties up, draws up, and let's get going.
And as you can see with the looks, you could pay to look better.
Yes.
Look at Chris Rock. Look at Jamie Foxx. Money changes things when we come together and make it happen. You can change looks over time.
Yes.
But integrity, personality, those things you can't change.
Right. We're done.
Yeah. No, thank you. Great. Yeah, thank you. Great commentary, ladies. And you know, y'all said some things there, and I think Kevin has said not all men are the same. I don't think she was implying that. Sometimes I think she was just speaking off the cuff. But there's a good majority of guys who are like that. And truth be told, I was maybe like that for a good while, and I really didn't start getting serious maybe until you know, a few years ago, when I really began to take things more serious, talking about building a legacy and all that stuff. So enough guys are that it could be called issues, but I do agree with you, Kevin, that not all men are the same. Y'all are shy tonight. Go ahead, Bacchus, you got it.
Okay, cool. Thanks. What's up, everybody? It's been a minute. Shout out to the Wonder Twins over there. See y'all ladies at it again. And of course, the lovely Brandy. Thanks for joining us. We missed you in the beginning, but you're here now. Hi, baby. How you doing? All right. So first of all, everybody keep talking about it.
Don't poke the bear.
I'm not.
Don't poke the bear.
Hey, I'm glad she was in there cooking my dinner. But anyway, we said that everybody wants a Russell Wilson, but a lot of these women will say, yes, they'll do whatever for that guy if he comes in your last poll. I call all cap on that, because I ain't seen nobody showing that dude. They might have him squirreled away somewhere, but I don't think anybody, the fantasy is nice, but the reality of what a lot of people want is not. They still want that future. And as for the poll about a girl who was living that life and now she's ready to change it, like Mike Jones said, man, back then you didn't want me. Now, I ain't with it. And the only way I could actually believe somebody who says that is, you know what? All right, cool. Your last dude was future. Well, show me the dude after that, and or the dude or whatever. Don't tell me what you about.
It was future.
Right, you know, it's future, it's futurist, you know, it's everybody, it's the whole crew. So I believe on what I see more than what I hear, because people will just BS you. What the ladies was talking about, you know, is taking time after being out dating casually for a stretch is not only just time. I think you also need to reassess, you know, to come back home, to rethink, to get some therapy, to work on it. And, you know, you also have to take away two things. When you go out with somebody, you might call the person, you know, batshit crazy or whatever, but you also got to look at, what did I do? You have to look inward as well. You know, just can't always blame externally. So, but for now, that's all I got, because I got a lot going on.
Very true. Very true. And great commentary.
I ain't cussed nobody out this time.
And you said, I have, and you talk about the cap that we're calling. I have to call cap too, because we saw that, you know, almost it was unanimous almost with the ladies that they're doing intentional dating. But when I'm out here, when I was out here in the dating market, when I just go out, I'm not seeing intentional, you know, a lot of people aren't really, I'm not seeing intentional daters out here.
Well, anyway. I think in this group, we might have some more intentionals, and I need y'all ladies, I'll make you a deal. You tell all y'all homegirls, you know, put them in a headlock and tell them to start being intentional. And I'll put all my homies in a headlock and start telling them to be more intentional, so we could just, you know, have some better outcomes, because apparently birds of a feather, right? We all kind of have the same mindset if that's what they're thinking. But what that poll said and what we see in real life, it's all about a free meal, baby.
Yeah, and I'm glad. And the lady, Tanisha, in the video, she was honest. She said, you know, there have been times where I just wanted to look nice and have a free meal, so I just did it. I didn't really know about a guy. I didn't vet the guy. He didn't vet me, but I just let it happen. So,
I mean, sometimes I just want to look nice and go get my dick stuck in the back of a Wendy's, but shit, it don't always happen like that now, does it?
There you go. A little crass, but he's right. All right, go ahead, Nika.
I cannot with Bacchus. Okay. So what I was gonna say on a serious note is that it really depends on like what you see and what stage you are in your life. For example, you know, I grew up with a teen mom or what have you, and she didn't necessarily choose the right kind of men. So when I went out and I started dating, regardless of how much I wanted to be different from my mom, I saw some similarities with the men that I chose. But it was at the stage that I was in my life, where I am now, after doing some evaluations on myself, the relationships and so forth. I know you like that, Bacchus. You know, I played a part in some of the failed relationships. But at the same token, it was just the people that I was choosing as well to give my energy and my time to. So with that being said, it was a lot of wasted time, a lot of wasted energy. And, you know, with growth, as we all should have, if you're not growing every year, then you're doing something wrong. You know, I kind of discovered that wasn't the route that I wanted to take anymore. But some of this is just simply generational, you know, patterns that are going on, and people not learning or choosing to break the cycle. So, you know, that's pretty much my take on it.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Great commentary as usual, Nika. Nika's an intentional dater. I can tell when things she says, the work she's doing on herself. She's talked about therapy that she's done, and you know, she's just a beautiful soul. She's hosting a lot of our volunteer events that we're doing later in April. So I can tell Nika's doing the work, and she's definitely one of the intentional ones out here. Go ahead, brother Kevin. You're up.
Yeah, when we're talking about intentional dating, I forget the lady you played earlier, but I think she hit on some points. I think one solution, like a lot of men have complaints about dating and women have the same complaints. She made some good points about vetting. You know, I believe in, like, if you're meeting somebody for the first time, you don't have to go all out. Have like a little coffee date where you're getting to know them, then have conversations on the phone in between and kind of progress along the way, and not go in with the expectations of this is going to be Mrs. Kevin or whatever. So I think she hit on some good points when you're talking about intentional dating, as far as having a plan and a progression.
Mm-hmm. That vetting thing is so crucial, and it's, you know, it's one of the more difficult things to do in this day and age, because, you know, at least I think about when I go out, you're online, you're just swiping based off the physical and nothing else. But how do you vet in just if you're just looking at physical? So that's kind of why part and parcel of the reason why I created this meetup group is for vetting to occur naturally. So you kind of see where people stand on important relationship issues. I put that at the beginning of the slide, and I've been repeating it over and over again. So this is a way that you're vetting, and you're not even realizing that it's happening. So, so this meetup group's intentional, not only intentional dating, but the things that are current, the way we approach conversations, some of the things we do, it's really intentional, and it's geared toward giving people a way to get to know each other. So that's why I encourage people to really tap in. But thanks, Kevin. Great commentary as usual. One of my favorites. The Nailers, we haven't heard from Deidre. We're gonna go to Deidre, then back to y'all, then Samantha, because we haven't heard from Deidre yet.
I just need some clarity. I'm trying to understand exactly what is wrong with Russel Wilson, that men are just convinced that women would not make themselves available for Russel Wilson if he were to come across, because in my opinion, Future is a horrible person. I don't see the attraction. I never did. So I just want to understand what's wrong with Russell.
Well, I think the reason why a lot of guys think that women wouldn't take on Russell Wilson is because you don't see it happening like that in real life. I feel like you don't see a woman go from a Future to a Russell Wilson in real life unless something, some drastic life situation, circumstance happened, then she embraces a Russell. But we just don't see it. Like, you don't see that change. Like, typically people's, like, their exes tend to be like the same sort of people. So you don't see that drastic change that has happened. So that's why a lot of guys, I think, don't believe that women would make themselves available to Russell Wilson. Like, if all you've been dating is Futures, what's the thing that's going to change to make you consider a Russell? And for Ciara, I think it was having a kid and just going through that, seeing that, Future wasn't the father that he thought he would be. So she had to make a change, and nothing's wrong with that. And I think a lot of guys too, they bash Russell Wilson because they see a guy and they what's the word? Like, they kind of see a lot of themselves in Russell Wilson, like they see a guy who was successful, who's worked hard, who,
and they kind of feel like he took an L.
Right,
being
exactly.
with her because she's a baby mama. You know what I mean?
Right. That's what a lot of guys feel like. So they kind of embody, they put themselves in that situation. But I'm trying to encourage or tell guys to think about, really, Russell got what he wanted. He made a list of non-negotiables for him. He made 5 things, and Ciara was all those things. And to me, Ciara, in terms of what Russell Wilson was looking for, to me seemed like a come up. Ciara's a beautiful. Y'all see the clips of Ciara dancing and doing all that stuff in that.
Yeah,
that
she knew what she wanted. She just picked the wrong dude, but she still wanted it, and she found Russell.
I think they both came up in their own way. And just because just because you don't want to be with a person, just as you may be childless, you may not want to be with someone with kids, doesn't mean that the next man, it would be different for the next man. That may be what he may be okay with. He said he wanted a family, so he had a ready-made family, and then he had kids with her as well. So they were ready to go, and he found what worked for him. So that's why I think a lot of guys view Russell that way. Deirdre. Okay. All right, did you have follow-up?
Yeah, about the kid thing, that's a huge problem in the dating scene. And having one kid, her having one kid doesn't mean that she's like ran through. It's one kid,
right,
with one person. And so what does that mean?
It takes deep thought too, but it depends on where you're at in life. If you're a guy and you're trying to settle down, it may be beneficial. And I don't hate to be that guy, but if you think about it, like a person who's a mother already, she has like a different view and approach on life and different values than someone who doesn't have kids, because she's looking after the welfare of her child. She's going to be a little more nurturing. She's not going to be out running the streets like, say, somebody who's not. So it may not be, you got to think of, it's pros and cons, you know what I mean? People have to weigh that out and think about it. My preference and what I said on my list was I would prefer, because I don't have children, I prefer to be someone without children, but I wouldn't close the book to that for myself, because you never know, I may meet somebody who meet my other non-negotiables. So I can't close that book. And I think nobody really should, because you just never know. People have different circumstances to bring them to where they are.
Agree. The issue with having the kids piece, though, we kind of talked about in another call, and the situation with that is people, like a person's parenting style, as well as like how, like baby mama drama, baby daddy drama, like those factors, I think, is what weighs in mostly on people that have kids. That's one of the biggest issues that I have with dating someone. Some men feel as though you're looking for them to be a dad. Like my kid has a dad. I'm not looking for you to be a dad, but you should be, you know, to be a role model, regardless if you're with someone with a kid or not with a kid. Being a role model exhibits you being a positive figure, like person in someone's life or in people's lives. It doesn't mean that you're their dad because you are looked upon to be a role model. That's something, as far as quality, that men in general, I feel like, need to step up and do more of.
Yeah. You know, my issue in the past has not really been, I haven't even got as far as to get to issues with the baby daddy or whatnot like that. My thing was just like, it was a different like availability, like a lot of, you know, when your kids are of a certain age, that just availability is not there. It's just not something that was conducive to getting to know somebody personally. Because if, you know, if you're single and you have the ability to kind of go out any night of the week or on the weekends, it can be a little challenging with somebody who's a single parent and their kids are of a certain age. And typically the single parents are going to be the mothers versus the dad. So even men with children themselves don't really understand that you know, the availability piece. And that's the most challenging part. But it's good when ladies do have a support system around who can help with that, and then to kind of make it so that it's a lot easier to date someone with a child. But we're gonna go to Samantha. Deidre, did you have something else you want to say, Deidre, or was that it?
Oh no, that's it on that topic. I was just confused. I just wanted to know what was the big deal about Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
But that was it. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Samantha.
I think that, you know, I'm in my early 30s and I have a child. And I think that for me, my daughter really has changed the game for me. So I would absolutely be open to a Russell if a Russell was to come into my life. But there were certain life experiences. There's parts of me I didn't even know existed until my heart was broken for the first time. Like there's things that I learned about myself through heartbreak. I know there's men on here that have learned things about themselves through their first heartbreak and different relationships that have failed, that have made you a better partner on the other side, with or without children. You know, you learn a lot about yourself. You go and you grow through things. And so I think for myself, you know, I think a lot of women, especially if they are in a position like myself, where you're in your, you know, your early 30s, you have a child, it didn't work out with the child's father, but at the same time, you want to be open, you want to still, whatever, you're going to be open to more things because you really, like you said, you don't have the availability, you don't have the time to play around. Like if I'm spending time with you, I'm intentionally spending time with you. I'm intentionally making sure that if I'm taking time away from my daughter, then I'm going to make sure that it's somebody that's worth that. And so I think that it really does depend on life experiences and like just where you are in life, you know, and I think that just depending on everybody, Russell, we don't know who Russell was in the beginning. We don't know who Russell was before his first marriage. You know, we know him now in his second marriage, but in his first marriage, we don't know what kind of person he was or where he came from or what he had going on. And now we're seeing him on the second marriage, and it seems like it's going really well. But, you know, I think God is intentional and he's sovereign. And so things work together for our good, however that plays out in all of our lives.
You know, you said God is intentional. Are you intentional as well? Like, and if you are, what are some things that you're doing, or how, like, are you kind of doing like Ciara, where it seemed like Ciara was just like, she tried to find that peace and she began to like really get focused on a relationship with God and different things like that. And that was what intentional looked like for her. Is there things that, you know, you feel like intentional looks like for you or anything like that?
Yes. You know, I had a failed marriage. So my perspective, I mean, I'm a therapist and I see a therapist every week or every other week. I really am very spiritual. So I really believe that, you know, that my spirituality and my relationship with God has helped me tremendously as far as like trying to do and be and become who God has created me to be. So that's part of my intentionality. And I've kind of gotten away from lists. I've kind of just said, God, I haven't made the best decisions. So I'm gonna allow you to show me who you want me to be with, because we don't really know who we are. As we continue to grow and learn more about God, we grow and learn more about ourselves. And there's things that he's going to know about me in 10 years that I don't. So I've surrendered my list to God. I really have. I've said, listen, it is what it is.
How would you know if you surrendered your list to God? How would you know who that guy is once he comes into your path, if you don't, like, if you haven't been thinking about it yourself?
I believe that my spirit, my discernment would allow me to know.
It would kick in.
I would hope.
All right.
Know, God has led me in other difficult decisions that I've had to make in my life. So there's times where if someone I'm around and they don't bring about peace in my life, if they come in and seem like chaotic or confusion, I know God is not a God of that. So you test the spirit by the spirit. There's somebody that's in my life that's not bringing me closer to God or encouraging me in a way that brings me closer to him. I know he don't got nothing. That's not him. So it's just certain things that I feel like I would know just based upon that. But then, I would already be submitting him. I'll put him on my prayer wall and I'd be praying over that man and wondering if that's God. Right. If it's him, take him. If it's not him, take him far, far away from me. And it always works. Always.
There you go.
It always works. I'd be like, God, I don't want what you don't want for me.
There you go. Thanks, Samantha. And Anna, she said, can we have a question that doesn't focus on celebrities? It's hard because celebrities are a good reference point, and people kind of recognize them in their public, so we can kind of point to things and we can use them as examples. That's the reason we're doing it. We're not trying to bash them or criticize them or say anything like that. It's just easier to point to, because they're like, they made their lives public, so we can, it's easier for everybody. It's a good reference point for us. I'm gonna let the Nailers go because they had their hand up earlier, and I think something may have happened. I know they wanted to chime in on something. Y'all could be real brief, so we can get to people who haven't spoke yet. Nailers and Nico.
I'm gonna be real brief. I just don't understand how y'all saying y'all don't believe it, or ladies, I don't know. How many years do you want to smell like backwoods getting out the car? How many hangovers do you want to have? How many plan Bs and failed relationships do you have to go through to figure out that that's maybe, like Samantha was saying, that's maybe not the route I need to be taking? And you guys are like, ladies, y'all lying. I just don't understand, like, how are we not encouraging growth? I'm just kind of confused. Like, why you
I
can't
think the
change
issue
your
where
mind?
it's the Russell Wilson thing that's kind of just tripping us up. That's all.
But I'm trying to see, like the other lady was saying too, what's wrong with Russell? Sometimes a certain look or a certain thing, like, it comes with certain things. Like, what's wrong with, some people's like, oh, he may be soft, I seen in the comments, but what is soft? Do you have to be scared that you about to get slapped or what? Like, how rough do he gotta be? Like,
again, I don't think men are saying, or men are not believing women because Russell's a bad guy. We're just saying that we don't typically see women go from a Future type to a Russell type. That's all. But let's let some more people go. We're gonna go ahead. We're gonna do Brandy, Kristen, and then Taryn. Go ahead. You're muted, Brandy. You're still muted.
Well, can I speak now?
Yep.
I'm gonna go ahead and take precedent. So I definitely feel like people are giving Russell the backseat because I think we can generalize the fact that we think he took an L when getting with Ciara just because he didn't have kids before he got with her and he had his shit going for him. Russell's not ugly. He's just not probably somebody that we would see with somebody who's gone for the bad boy type previously. You know what I mean? But, in my I wanted to focus on the statement that most men, I think in Ricardo's poll, he said that most men want to get with won't have intentional dating. Did I read that poll wrong? Ricardo, most men feel that they are intentionally dating or intentionally, advocating.
The poll.
Okay, that's what I thought I read. Telling are y'all lying to yourselves to make yourselves look good? Because that's not what y'all are doing at all.
Yeah, I think there's some cat there too.
I'm not hating on men because I love my men, but let's keep it honest, okay? I think that your interpretation of intentional dating and what we accept as the purpose or intro into intentional dating is very skewed. I think that your intro into intentional dating is definitely not what we perceive as intentional dating. And you guys might need to get that checked, because sexuality has nothing to do with intentional dating. You know what I'm saying? Having coffee lunches is not my, personally, I don't want no coffee unless I'm about to clock in an hour. Okay. But you definitely have to meet a person on their path and on their level. But I definitely want to explain that I don't think men, I think they answered that poll in a lie. Ricardo, I do not think that you all are definitely, you know, hitting up women on the level of attentional dating. I think you guys are coming at us from a mode of sexuality, and we can only perceive that as, hell yeah, I'm past that, and yeah, it is casual sex or whatever the case may be. So, you know, what steps are you showing to show your intention? Because we can only perceive your actions as what the rest of our dating is going to be about. And if we start off on the wrong foot, it's hard to get back on the right one. So I don't know. That's just my perception, but intention is everything. And if you're talking about sex on our first date and what I look like in a gym suit, or what I look like when I'm like, what are we really talking about? Like, no, we can't go for it after this. Because I'm gonna teach you as cheap as you're acting right now. I'm gonna teach you like a treat.
It's intentional sex. It's intentional. I'm trying
get
to
off my phone, Bacchus. Who gave you the mic?
Oh, hello, Pot. My name's Kettle.
All right, we got to keep it. So in less than 30 minutes, we're gonna open up the breakout rooms. I know majority of people want to do that. It's gonna be time maybe if y'all want to connect on a smaller scale and maybe have a chance to get your work. Right now, it was kind of like.
Them breakout rooms are what's going to put us in the hell.
I think so too, because a lot of people be trying to get off weird talking points, and I think they're scared to do it in front of a lot of people, so they want to do it. That's my concern with a breakout room, is why we haven't done it thus far, because I think that a lot of folks may want to get some crazy stuff up, but we're going to try it out, because, you know, you don't know unless you try. But I think we got a lot of, and I do agree with you, Brandy, there. I think there's some, if there was cap on the lady side, definitely think there was cap on the guy side. Not 80% of us aren't intentionally dating. But anyway, we're going to go to Kristen.
Hey, everyone.
Hey.
So, Samantha, girl, we here. We are so here. Like, I know everybody not spiritual on the line, but I feel you on that. Like, girl, yes, we are there. But what I want to say, like the poll you had, Ricardo, like where I know, like, and you just kind of touched on that, where like you were saying, like people are saying, like, oh, I don't agree with what the women saying. They not really intentional dating. They don't want a Russel Wilson or whatever. I think what it boils down to is, for men and women, we just all want somebody that's on the same page. So if we're just saying we're going to go out for dinner, we're going to have sex, okay, we're on the same page on that, are we actually intentionally dating? If you're on the same page with someone as far as intentional dating, as far as a healthy relationship, engagement, marriage, having children, I think that's what it all boils down to. Because if we're both getting what we need and desire in the relationship, I just feel like it's going to be easy. Like, I remember a friend got married recently, and she was literally like scared, because she was like, dang, should it really be this easy? Like, he's giving me what I need. I'm giving him what he needs. We're both on the same page when it comes to our relationship. So it just feels so easy. And I think, again, when you're in a healthy, committed, loyal, faithful relationship and you're on the same page, it makes it that much more easier. When you're not on the same page, that's why that confusion comes in. You're not intentionally dating. You just want to have a good time, whatever. But I think that's what it boils down to. It's not about people want a Russel Wilson. It's about a lot of women, and I think men too, they want somebody that's on the same page as far as when it comes to what are your intentions, what are we dating, what is our end goal? Are we just here to have a good time? Or are we actually wanting to get to know each other and progress in a healthy, committed, faithful, loyal, God-fearing relationship? And I think that's what it boils down to.
Mm-hmm. There we go. Thanks, Kristen. Yeah, Kristen, you want to say a word about the night with the Andretti's that's coming up this Sunday?
Yes.
Kristen's one of the hosts for one of our one of the events we have coming Sunday. Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, so it's myself, Jasmine, and Eldrina, and we are doing Andretti on Sunday night, 6:30 to 10:30. We are super excited. Jasmine posted a couple of instructions today, like if you want to do the go-karts, you got to sign a liability waiver form, and there'll be more information to come. But hopefully everybody has RSVP comes out, because we have a lot in store. So we look forward to meeting everybody.
There we go. If anybody wants to host or something, just be a positive person. Rock with us for a few events, and y'all can host an event. Because like I said, this is a group effort. It's not all just one person. Taryn, we try to go to people on camera first, Taryn. So if you can get your camera on, we'll come back to you. But we're going to go to Lisa. Thanks, Kristen.
Hey guys, can y'all hear me?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I just wanted to just make a few points. The first point
First time
about being
seeing you on camera. I know you've been tapping into our conversation for a little bit, so it's good. It's good to see you though, Lisa.
yeah, this has been very awesome, and I have been hearing like the conversations for the last few online discussions, but I really wanted to talk on this one because obviously something's not working. The rate of divorce is increasing and something has to give. And I really do believe, like, when we talk about intentional dating, we need to talk about the hard stuff. And I know some people like to think of it as interview questions. Some men don't like the tough questions. But if we are going to be intentional, I feel like on date number 1 and number 2, we have to talk about the hard stuff. And it doesn't have to be an uncomfortable conversation. It doesn't have to be anything where people feel like they're being attacked, because I do believe there is a way to talk about difficult things and feel 100% comfortable with that other person. So I do believe you have to gauge that the temperature of the room, the temperature of the date to see how things are going. I know the dates that I've been on, people have been comfortable talking about those tough things. And that made me kind of decide right then and there whether I wanted to continue with this relationship or not. So I think that's what intentional dating is. I mean, it's cool. I mean, to talk about superficial things, but at the heart of it, if you do want to value your time, certain conversations need to be had a little bit earlier than later. The second thing I want to talk about is physical looks, because I know that in the data that you showed earlier, that both men and women are wanting someone who looks good. And I just really wanted to clarify, because there is a difference between looking good and attractiveness. And there's been many men who look handsome, like societal expectation of what fine is. But the minute they open their mouth, the minute they have a conversation, they become butt ugly to me. So very, very important that we know the difference between good looks and attractiveness, because attractiveness is what's going to hold you. It's more than just the looks. It's that person's character. It's their integrity. It's how they treat that waiter, that waitress. It's a lot of things that keep that attractiveness. So it's very important that as we date intentionally, that we understand that it's the attractiveness that's going to hold you and keep that relationship going. And as we get older, I mean, we're not going to look the same. We're going to get gray hairs. We might gain a little weight. I mean, things happen. So what's going to keep you in that relationship is very important. And the third thing, I'm glad some people talked about like the spiritual aspect of it, but I do believe we need to go back to the foundation of marriage and maybe take a break and pray and fast and ask God, what is it that I need to do in my own life? Maybe there's things that I need to grow in that that's the reason why I haven't found that person yet. So just really going to the creator, going to the source and seeking confirmation from him and his word. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
There you go. Thank you. And it's not only for, you said like, the attractiveness is what holds you. That's the same thing for men, because I've dated a lot of beautiful women, and the looks is what opened the door, but the attractiveness, even for men toward women, like I get there and there's, like she looks good, but there's nothing there, or she's not showing reciprocity or matching my effort. And I found that the hotter she is, the less effort she gives back a lot of times. And that's just from my personal experience. I know it's different for everybody, but real quick question, because we got a lot of people and our time's a little short, but let me just ask you this. You said that asking tough questions initially and early on. Let me ask you, do you ask the questions first to see if if like the response is something you align with, or do you give your position and then ask what their position is?
Well, it kind of goes back. I mean, either way. I mean,
Okay.
Sometimes
So it's just a conversation.
It's just a conversation. It can
All
go
right.
either way.
All right. Thanks, Lisa. We're going to go to Taryn. You're up, Taryn. I hope I'm saying your name right. Just trying to figure out her mic situation there. Taryn, we'll give you 5, 4. Oh, we're going to move it on. Babs, go ahead. Oh, Nika, can you be brief, Nika? Because I'm trying to get some people who haven't spoke yet. But Nika, can you be brief? I know you want to tap in on something you heard. Go ahead. It just be real brief so we get these other folks.
It was basically like on what Kevin said, and Lisa just kind of touched on it as well about vetting people or having those conversations and so forth. Like, especially with the online dating stuff, when you're reading somebody's profile, and of course you swipe right based off of what their profile says, and then you can't even hold a conversation with the person because they basically don't ask the right questions. I see a lot of guys in the chat that talk a lot about these free dinners or lunches or whatever they're giving away at the moment with these chicks, but like, what are the vetting questions that are being asked before you even get to that point? Like, is the date necessarily like the next step?
You may have to ask that one in the breakout room, Nika. I think that would be a good question. If you, whatever breakout room you fall in, if you could ask that, because I'm trying to get to these people who haven't spoken yet, because we're kind of running short on time a little bit. But yeah, I think that'd be a great question for the breakout room, Nika. Go ahead, Taryn. Let's see if you can get your mic right.
Okay, can y'all hear me now?
Yep, there you go.
All right, Shay. So I agree with what was just previously said about being intentional about like what you want to discuss, having those hard conversations first. But also, since there were a lot of women with the scoring that came out to show that they were more intentional about their dating, if women are the only ones voicing that they're intentional, then what is it that men are not doing to show that they are intentional? Because there's a gap in between the way that is communicated. Also, with gas prices being as high as they are, who is going out anywhere with somebody you don't even have a conversation with? Like, if you're going out to dinner with someone just because you want a free meal, I think it's important to evaluate yourself and say, well, why am I, trying to reach out to this person just to get a free meal? You really need to look into yourself and see what's going on. Like, are you just wanting attention? Can you not afford to go out on yourself? And I also think it's important to be able to date yourself before you can date somebody else. How can you require time, the investment of time and resources, and you don't even enjoy being around your own company? So I think that's important as well.
Great point. Date yourself. Wow, I like that one. Yeah, that's something there. That's something you said something there. Great point. Thanks, Taryn. Go ahead, Babs.
Are you guys able to hear me?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I just wanted to address what was said earlier about like men intentionally dating. And from my experiences with me and my friends, we kind of categorize women into wifey material based on if we can see us having a serious relationship with them in the future, and then other women that we don't view in that regard. So we're going to casually date the women that we don't see a serious relationship with, and then intentionally date the women that we do. So
let me ask you this.
Guys agree with that one.
I hear what you're saying. And I was doing that for a while, but do you think that, like, I found that doing the casual dating thing, it ties up a lot of your time? Because you date a woman, it's really time consuming, because you want to hang out. That's hours out your day, and the time that you're spending with this lady that you're casually dating could be time wasted, and missing out on the women you want to be intentional with. So that's really why I had to take a complete break and a complete 180 from casual dating. What do you think about that? Is doing the casual dating thing preventing you, or could it be a hindrance to intentional dating?
I mean, it depends for me. Like, how often do you see women that you consider serious relationship with? Me personally, I haven't seen too many women out there that I would. Right. But it might be different for you.
No, it's the same thing for me. It's hard to find, but it's even harder to find when I'm casually dating, I think.
Right. I mean, yeah, it all depends on the type of women that you're seeing out there. Because obviously as men, we're still going to want to have sex. So, we're still going to try to casually date as well.
You ever heard about having dick discipline? If you can't control like your urges, I'm sorry getting graphic, y'all, but if you can't control your urges now while you're single, when you get married, are you going to be able to still, control your urges? Like, I feel like we need to start, one of our conversations, we might have a conversation just entitled sex, and that just might be it, because we need to really, really talk about this thing and figure out how to get some discipline going here, because I think it's a cop out a lot of times, say we need to have sex. If we need to have sex, why not get even more intentional and try to find a person. I'm ranting, but do you have anything else you want to say, Babs?
No, that's it.
All right. But great. I mean, you did make a point. A lot of guys are doing that. They are casually dating and casually dating ones they're not serious about and trying to intentionally date ones they are serious about. I just think that it's a waste of time to try to do both.
I've got friends that have gone off the market once they see the girl that they would take seriously. But they used to just smash girls all the time. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah. All right. Thanks, brother. Simone.
Hi.
Hey.
So I wanted to talk about just like whenever dating people, especially like women, I feel like do this more often than men, but they tend to date to try and figure out like, do I click with this person? Is this someone I can fall in love with? Like it's very emotional when it comes to dating versus dating someone with the idea of just compatibility. Am I compatible with this person? Do I actually see this as a life partner? Do I actually see this as someone who I can have a legitimate future with? Or is it someone that I just want to fall in love with? Because if you date with the purpose of I want to fall in love, you're going to get disappointed a lot because it's very emotional. It's very like people do a lot of crazy
That part.
people do a lot of crazy stuff for love, and the relationship becomes toxic because you're making up all of these excuses on why you should stay with the person, versus if you would have just stayed at the beginning. I'm looking for someone I'm compatible with. These are the basic things I have to my moral compass, and I want to make sure that the man that I'm pursuing or that I'm going to go towards with has those same items in his moral compass as well.
There you go. She said something there. She said some people are dating with the hope of falling in love, and that's the main way they're approaching dating. And then she's suggesting that a better way is to try to find compatibility versus trying to find that love first, and eventually love may come. So I think that is an intentional way to go about it. And I didn't have on my list on what I'm looking for a partner. Love wasn't up there, but all the other points was me trying to find compatibility. Like when I said the thing about finding someone who's domestic, that's a thing of compatibility. So I think I'm on the right track according to what you just said there, Simone. So thanks, Simone. Let's see here, Lena. A few more minutes, y'all. We're gonna open up the breakout room. We're gonna try this breakout room thing out. You're muted, Lena. There you go.
Okay, I'm up. Hey everyone. I wanted to kind of touch base on the vetting. I think we were talking about the vetting and can you vet if you are online, and it just comes to like a few people touched on, just asking the main questions. First, you have to know exactly what you want. I think that's the main thing. And then I always tell people to, like have the 5 main qualities that that you must have in that person. But I think that people are scared to ask questions in fear of that they might be turning the person off. But that's the only way you can online ask certain things before you go out. I know I do. Like, I don't want to waste my time because my time is valuable. So I don't care what the person's going to buy me, where they're going to take me, because if you value your time, then you're going to ask those hard questions. And then if it doesn't align with what you're looking for, then you just have to say no and then, move on. So I think in regards to vetting that you can do that. But I also wanted to ask a question because earlier there was something mentioned about men having a problem dating women who have dated different men from them. It was something like that. Do you remember that? And I wanted to know, what did you guys mean about that in regards to if I meet someone and they're not, let's say, they may not be the same type of person or the same level of someone that I previously dated. Do you guys have a problem with that?
Yeah, the question was we asked the guys would they date a woman who has a history of dating men who were completely unlike them. And I think for guys it comes down to I'm just going to answer for the guys here because we're short on time. I think it comes down to just compatibility. Like what all of a sudden changed in your life that you go from a future to me, if y'all knew my brother, me and my brother are 2 completely different people. And if a woman dated a guy like my brother and then dated a guy like me, I just wouldn't think a lot about that. I was like, she just wants, I wouldn't think a lot about that. To me, it would seem like she's just taking whatever she can get. So it's like, it's a big leap. is why the issue why. And we would think that, you know, your preference is future, but you're trying to be with me. So I think for guys, that's why it comes down to, that's why it's an issue. But we get just because of time, Lena, we got to move it along. Brockus, if you can be real brief. Brockus, if you can be brief, we're gonna let you gonna go, then Reginald and Dom. I think Dom's probably gonna close us out. Go ahead, Brockus.
All right, so a lot of ladies was talking about, you know, vetting people to make sure you don't get used and whatnot. Like it says up here, I usually tell them, yo, you better eat before we meet. You know, I'll ask them those, I'll tell them something like that. I'll tell them, make sure you bring your purse. Make sure you got your credit card. Make sure you can stop at the ATM, get some cash just in case. I say all that stuff. And then they'll just be like, oh, you trying to say you don't pay for it? Like, yeah, pretty much. That's why we going 2 for $20 at Applebee's. You know, we got to start somewhere in order to grow. That tells me if you're just there for a free meal. And trust me, they've just been ghosted ever since. On the whole ghosting topic, you might talk to a lady, match with her on Sunday, talk to her, you know, Thursday, make plans with her for Friday, and everything's going good and you guys are feeling each other. But if she gets a DM on Friday night from a dude that she really feeling, she gonna ghost you. You just wasted that whole week. She gonna ghost you. She gonna flake. She gonna wait for you to get at a restaurant, be like, oh, her dog just broke a nail and babysitter can't come, but she don't got no kids or whatever. It just happens, and it's a waste. A lot.
She wasn't throwing us no bones worthy of a savage.
I'll throw you a goddamn.
We don't want that
lady.
shit.
Looky here. Anyway.
But this is the thing. I hate to jump in, but I always tell guys, if you're worried about a woman taking advantage of you, then why don't you come up with outside of the box things of dating where it's not costing you any money?
Oh yes, most definitely. I have most definitely done that. I've said, hey, there's a free event going on at Piedmont. Let's go do that. Let's take a walk on the Beltline. The number you dialed is incorrect. Okay, I know where your mind is at. It's all good. I do all these things. I literally play all these games just to see where you're at. But let me get back. I already said the thing about the ghosting and people flaking. That happens as well. And here's the thing. Conversations have to go both ways. You might have a paragraph or pictures and I see your profile and I'm engaging actively and your reply is, yeah, sometimes, maybe, I think so, whatever. And I'm actually engaging, but you're really not giving a fuck. Or literally, I just got a message on Tinder today from a girl I was talking to like a month and a half ago. Like, why are you even messaging me now? It's pointless at this point. It has to go both ways. But my homeboy Jamarquavius, he don't got nothing on his page, and the girl's writing him a paragraph, and he just replies back with "sup," and they send their phone number and address, and time to come get some. It is what it is. The other lady was talking about gas price. Yo, gas price is high for everybody, but if you're in Kennesaw and he's in McDonough, and he's like, yo, that is way too much gas to be going back and forth. What's going to happen? He's going to get called cheap. He broke. He a lame. You don't got nothing. So you're not even going to be able to handle me or be able to take me anywhere or whatever. And for some reason, people think that your time is more important than another. Everybody got 24 hours in the day. What you choose to do with it is 100% up to you. Unless you charging me for your time, like 98% of the women in Atlanta do.
Bring us on, Bacchus. Bring us on. Great commentary.
That's all I wanted to say, but thanks for all that. And
real quick question. Peggy asked you a question. She said, would you date yourself? You can be real brief and respond.
Would I date myself? Oh, man, it'll be a lot of fun, but I got to take extra money at the ATM because I ain't a cheap date. So, you know.
There you go. He answered your question, Peggy. Reginald and Dom.
That was a terrible answer. I don't like it, but whatever. Take those to Canada and put them in your.
Go ahead, Reginald. You got to unmute.
I actually forgot what I was going to talk about.
All right. Well, anyway, thanks for coming through, brother. We were actually short on time anyway, so it's all good. We're going to open up the breakout room. It may come back to you. You can share in a breakout room. Go ahead, Dom.
All right. Hello.
Got you. We hear you.
All right. Yeah, I've been trying to raise my hand for the longest, but I think I didn't know how to do it. So I'm a little off topic, but I want to get back on the future Russell Wilson thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing with that is, like we were talking about what type of guy is Russell. I think, a lot of women say they want like nice guys, blah, 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 all that good stuff. But it's really what I've noticed is that like when it comes to like dating, women like to say, oh, I like to feel the vibe. You know, I've been hearing this vibe thing like get thrown around a lot. And I'm like, what is a vibe? Because like anybody can make up a vibe. See, the thing is like Future would give you a good vibe. So when they meet somebody like Future, they feed off that emotionally and they're like, oh, we can connect, blah, blah, blah. Well, when you meet a guy like Russell, he's asking you like questions, you know, trying to vet you and see if, you know, you're like a good wife or something like that. They get bored. They don't want the nice guys. They rather get the Future because they feel like they'll have more fun and they'll go date a guy like that instead of a guy like Russell. So I feel like that's where it's like contradicting. Where they say they want that, but in reality they don't. Is what I've noticed. So that's my point on that. But another thing is, I think a lot of times like we have different expectations when we date, where women look at guys like they're looking at their future husband, you know, like you're a good dad, whatever, all those other things. But I think for a lot of guys, sometimes, you know, especially when we're casually dating, we're not on the same page. So I think at the same time, I think that's where there's like a miscommunication there. And a lot of times we don't know what each other want. Like I think a lot of women don't even know what a guy's looking for, what a guy even want. Like they won't even know how to be a good girlfriend, a good wife to a guy because they like to treat people how they want to be treated instead of like talking to the guy, understanding and knowing what we want or expecting our women. And I think vice versa. So yeah, I just think we need to build ourselves up and do a better job of communicating and like asking the other person like what they're looking for, what they want, instead of like being so caught up in ourselves, especially the women. So I feel like, you know, they like to be, you know, get pretty and like show off their beauty and all that stuff, but we don't care about that. You know, a lot of times it's we're looking for more than that. So yeah,
I care about both, but I think you brought a great point in the end. You said like treat, you know, a lot of times people are treating people like they would treat themselves versus treating the person the way they want to be treated. And that was a point in the book that we read last month, Love and Respect, that a lot of women, they give men love because they value love most, but they don't give men respect. But even though respect is the thing that men value most. So that's a great point you brought up there at the end. Brandy, if you can be real brief, I'm gonna close this out and open up these breakout rooms, but go ahead.
It's not gonna be brief, Ricardo,
so, babe,
but it is gonna be thorough.
Okay,
you know, just to touch back on the whole Russell Wilson.
You think you might want to share it in the breakout room, Brandy, or do you have to share it right now? You're muted. All right, let me close this out. She'll share it in the breakout room. But yeah. So we got a few events coming. I forgot how I want to end this whole thing. But anyway, we're gonna open up the breakout rooms. We got a few events. One event, like we just talked about, coming this Sunday. We're plugging away, so we almost got an event every week. Let me figure out how to open up these breakout rooms. Thanks everybody for hanging out and staying. This is the end of the formal conversation. Let me stop the recording. The breakout rooms aren't recorded. Let me see, how do I stop the recording? There we go.